All right, first and foremost, give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem HaKakodash, double unto the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and who is worthy to be counted for double honors. Peace and salutations to you brothers out there pushing this truth wholeheartedly and sincerely and for love of the gospel. Mr. Brother Gabar from Indiana Camp, coming back at you again with another sit down. And I'm gonna entitle this video, you wish you gonna have your, Slocky. I had it in my mind, but now I completely forgot how I was gonna word it. But it was along the lines is you wish you're gonna have your words to eat in that day, you know. Basically alluding to the scoffers, the scorners, the people, the naysayers, the doubters, the people that take the things that we're telling them, that we're warning them, that's coming to this present world and taking it as a joke, or what we're saying is just hot air. And in that day, you're gonna wish that you had your words to eat in those days, you know, alluding to what starvation basically saying, like, hey, you're not even gonna have your words to eat. Usually when you eat your own words, you're basically saying, well, damn, you know, you admit that you were wrong. But in that day, you know, starvation is gonna be so severe that you're gonna wish that you had your words to eat. All right, so I got this video right here concerning starvation, which starvation is a part of Jacob's trouble. All right, it is a tactic that Esau is going to use, where he's gonna starve out the people. All right, he's gonna stop the trucks going into the cities, you know, which the scripture talks about, you know. There shall be no man gleaning the grapes, you know, which talks about what there is, you know, these farmers, they're not going to be all into agriculture no more. All right, they're not going to be into excuse me right quick. Slakia, I'm doing laundry and I thought I heard my wash machine over flood. But yeah, you're not gonna Esau's gonna use this tactic, which is really it is really a plague that the Lord is gonna send upon this upon the world, starvation, which it talks about that in the book of Second Ezra. You know, it's all sent for scourges, for amendments, but starvation is gonna hit this place hard and heavy. You know, and America being the fattest, over consumptuous country that it is, where people, it seem like they have to go eat every 4 to 5 hours. They can't go a fucking day or two without food, you know. So starvation is gonna hit this place real hard. All right, so let's see what starvation does to the body.
All experience the feeling of hunger. You feel dizzy, you get stomach cramps, and have zero energy. But these symptoms are fleeting and usually disappear once we have our next meal. But what if you had nothing to eat? What happens to your body when it's starving?
And this is fair use. I'm not using this video for any not any money gain. I'm not using it for any I forgot the term for it, monetary gain or anything like that. This is just strictly educational use, so fair use.
Hey there, Lisette here for D News. Starvation occurs when your body's consuming fewer calories than those required to sustain life. It's most commonly the result of famine, extreme dieting, complete fasting for a cause, or disease. Roughly 1 out of every 9 people do not have enough to eat. But despite this widespread problem, starvation is not well understood. Not because it's not important, obviously, but because it's difficult to systematically study inanition, or the impact of starvation on our bodies. The lack of experimental data on the subject is largely due to the fact that it is unethical to conduct a study that requires participants to go without food, and that its effects depend on many factors, such as the weight of the person before they began to starve, their genetic makeup, their health, and whether they're drinking water. But what we do know comes from controversial studies like Minnesota University's starvation experiment from the 1940s. During World War II, famine became a pressing issue for many countries around the world. At the time, scientists were eager to understand what happened to the human body in the process.
And you see, in the Lord has a way where you can still the Lord will have it where He will give you enough food just to keep you alive long enough for the missiles to hit this place. So starvation doesn't go into like where famine, I should say, doesn't go into where you just don't have zero food whatsoever, but the Lord can give you so little adequate food where it seems like it's a famine, which I'm gonna look up the word famine too, but famine can also just mean go into a little of food. You know, it doesn't mean absolute zero where you don't have anything at all, because like she did say, the body can only go 3 days without water. So the Lord might have it where people will still have accessible to food and to water, but it's not going to be in the abundance as they have it now. All right. Here you can go on your faucet, and get in the shower or go up the street and buy cases and bottles of water. But in that day, it's not going to be that easy accessible. You might only have 24 cases of water, and that might suffice you for a good week or two. But that might be the only source of water you have. You might have to skip out on brushing your teeth that morning. You might have to skip out on taking a shower every single day. All right. See how we use these resources now, where we just have water running, or sometimes we don't really look at it. But in that day, things are gonna get real tight. So you're not gonna, so washing your face for 15, 20 minutes and brushing your teeth, leaving the water on, brushing your teeth, you ain't gonna have that luxury in that day no more. Same thing with food. Here you is, like who was it? El Diashawamba said last week. He said, here you is, you got Jake fucking leaving a lot of meat and a lot of meat on the bones. In the minute, in that day, starvation. Listen, you're gonna eat all the way down to the bone, the gristle and everything. All right, that's how starvation is gonna hit this place.
Of starvation, partly because they wanted to understand how to help patients recover from it.
It's at the point where even in the Book of Lamentations, it said that it is better for them to die by the sword than them that die by hunger, because the sword is a fast way to go. It's a fast way to die, versus you dying by hunger is the scripture calls it pining away stricken, which we're going to read this in Amplified version as well too. So in the King James, it says, they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. You see, for these pined away, stricken through the want of the fruits of the field. All right. See, so what is going to be better for you to be a quick death than for those who goes days and weeks and months without food, because you're pining away. You're literally withering away. Your body is eating itself. All right. Same scripture. This is in Amplified. It says, those killed with the sword are more fortunate than those killed with hunger, for the hunger pined and eat. Well, I don't even know how to say this word. Ibi.
Ebb.
Regular movement, ocean tide. I don't know what the hell that's talking about. It says, for the hunger pined and ebb away for the lack of the fruit of the field. Yeah. So basically saying, what, man, it's better for you. The scriptures here are saying it's better for you to die by the sword, whether that be the gun, whether that be, you know, actual sword or whatever, basically a fast, painless death, than for you to die by hunger. Because it's a lot that goes into starvation. It affects with your mind, it affects your mood. Then you get sick, all right. Then you become weak, and then you're at the point where you don't even have enough strength to really do anything, you know. And your body knows it's finna go out because it's used all the resources that it has, all right.
It's not as simple as allowing someone to eat unlimited quantities of food. This can actually make recovering patients sick because it's difficult for the body's systems to rapidly adjust to eating food again, and because hungry people tend to overeat to the point of vomiting. So the scientists at Minnesota University recruited volunteers by offering military men who had been drafted the opportunity to participate in their study in lieu of military service. The 36 men who were finally selected were all healthy, conscientious objectors to the war. They were required to walk 35 kilometers a week throughout the entire study. But during the first 12-week control period, the men's diets were regulated so that they would reach an ideal healthy weight before the semi-starvation phase, the second period in the study. In the semi-starvation period of 24 weeks, the participants' caloric intake was cut in about half, from 3,000 to about 1,500 calories. To get them as close to their goal of a 25% total weight reduction, the researchers adjusted the participants' food portions. The researchers found that in this semi-starvation phase, participants went through a number of changes. Due to extreme weight loss, the men displayed physical symptoms like protruding ribs, swollen eyes, and gaunt cheeks, as well as swollen extremities, likely from a lack of blood protein production. Physiologically, their metabolic rates decreased.
And like I said, you know, they cut their caloric intake almost in half. So they were, you know, used to eating 3,000 calories a day to going down to eating 1,500 calories a day, which they say the fucking I forgot exactly what they're called, but they say that to maintain a healthy weight, women should eat anywhere between 18 to 2,000 calories, so between 1,800 and 2,000 calories, and men should, you know, depending on weight and other factors, they should eat anywhere between 2,000 calories to 24,000 calories, depending on, you know, how much you weigh, how tall you are, you know, genetics and shit like that. But they cut theirs in half. So, and just like I said, man, the average American is overweight. I want to say, matter of fact, let's Google it. Let's see the percentage. What is the percentage of overweight in America? 72%. So 7 out of 10 people you see is gonna be overweight, and I would probably say even probably morbidly obese or really overweight. It says almost 72% of Americans. That's over half. That's 20% more. Over half of Americans are overweight, ages 20 and older. So 20 years up, like 2 years after you become a fucking legal adult in this, like, you're classified as overweight and obese. Breaks down so you're classified. Look, it says obesity, obese alone is 42 to 43%. So overweight is 72%, but obese is 42%. So like I said, like what there's a 30% difference, you know. So here you have almost over half of America is overweight, and then about 42 to 43, so about 8% off of half, exactly 50-50 is obese, which obese is basically, which the way they said it is, you're either average weight, middle weight, regular weight, overweight, obese. Then you got morbidly obese, which means you're well above it. If you're a 5'5", if you're a 5'5" female, your range will probably be anywhere between 120 to maybe 160, maybe 150 pounds. But if you're 160, you'll be a little overweight. If you're 170, you're overweight. But if you're 180 and 190, you got to think you're 5'5". So 180 pounds is gonna look different than a woman that's 6'1", 6'2". But if you're 5'5", 180, you're pushing obesity. And if you're 220, 230, and you're 5'5", then you're morbidly obese. You're not supposed to be that big for your size. You see? And you have 42% of America is obese. You know? So 70% of Americans is over. And you know what causes obesity? Overeating. Like El Ayash always, like the beloved El Ayash always say. He said what? Because you can't keep a fucking burger out your mouth. You can't stop yourself. You don't have enough self-control to stop eating. You don't have enough self-discipline to regulate your weight, to regulate, hey, I'm eating. And it's really, you know what? I'm going to say like this too. It's not even the fact that you're overeating. It's the type of shit that you're eating. Here you dumping fucking cheese, butter, oil, and fucking grease over everything that you eat. It's not even the fact that you're really overeating, because really, to be honest, the fact that you're overweight is really due to the fact that you're actually malnutritious. You're just eating a whole bunch of caloric dense foods, fast foods, sweets. Now, there's nothing wrong with those things when you eat them in moderation. If you watch any fitness influencer, they'll tell you, listen, you can eat cupcakes, cookies, cakes, and milkshakes. Those things, I ain't gonna say that, of course we in the know, we know that shit's bullshit anyways, but it's not the fact that that's one thing is gonna make you, if that one thing is gonna make you overweight. It's when you're eating, when you're consuming it in abundance. If you're having a fucking milkshake a day, eating cookies and cakes, eating that bullshit a day, fast food, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, all this, if you're eating that shit on a daily, yeah, within a month. You ever watch that that documentary Super Size Me? He went on a McDonald's only diet for a month and he gained 22 pounds. He gained 22 pounds within a month just eating strictly McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 30 days. And he went and he gained 22 pounds. So you got people who's been eating that shit for years, who grow their children up on that fast food, And then when they get home, what do? You think they're actually cooking a nutrient dense or a balanced diet? No, when they get home, they frying everything in oil. All right, they baking shit with butter and all types of unhealthy shit at the crib. An American don't know what a healthy balanced diet is. All right, so really starvation really goes into you just overly consuming in calories. All right.
Decreased, meaning that their bodies reduced the number of calories they expended while resting. Their heart rates dropped, temperature decreased, libido declined, and breathing quieted. It's like their bodies were slowing down to conserve as much energy as possible. Psychologically, the men became preoccupied with food, talking, writing, and even dreaming about it. They reported depressive symptoms, irritability, and a lack of interest in everyday activities.
And you know what? When I was younger, I used to always watch cartoons. And when the character goes so long without food, they show you how psychological it is, where everything that they see becomes food. I remember in Looney Tunes and like Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny, and all them all them other cartoons, where they'll have a character if they go so long without food, they start looking at their friend, or they start looking, every little thing they look at, it turns into a piece of chicken or a piece of meat or whatever. And she just basically said, listen, when your body gets so deprived of food, it seems like food is the only thing that you can think of, And also another thing is, man, when you go so long, your senses, it heightens. Your smell becomes keener, your eye focus becomes more keen. You can smell. You can probably smell food from a mile away. Everything, all your senses enhance almost. From the lack of food. You see? So in a way, when people actually start losing weight and start getting leaner, they're gonna actually become a more what I'm trying to say, primitive. They're gonna see they're gonna be able to heighten down. But what, that body gonna stop them from doing it? You know, most of these people can't even fucking walk a mile, let alone run. So even if you do smell some food or see, you ain't gonna be able to find it, because your energy, by the time you look for the food, your energy is gonna be depleted. You know.
Interestingly, while the men reported cognitive deficits, the tests of the
Hello, my name is Jim Graham. I'd like to tell you about an experience that I had during World War II as a guinea pig in an experiment in semi-starvation. During the war, there was a lot of concern for the people in Europe who were starving, not just those in prison camps and concentration camps, but also the general population who were suffering from food shortages. In making plans for relief activities after the war, there were a lot of questions that needed answers. What do you feed a starving person to bring him or her back to health? What's the most economical use of food materials when supplies are severely limited? We knew fairly well what a starved person looked like and what starvation did to the human body. But until this time, there had never been an opportunity to measure exactly what changes take place in the body under starvation conditions. Nor had there ever been any scientific test to determine what best to feed a starved person to bring him or her back to health. So, Dr. Ansel Keys, who was director of the Laboratory of Physiological Hygiene at the University of Minnesota, proposed an experiment lasting 1 year using volunteers from among the several thousand conscientious objectors doing alternative public service throughout the United States. I was one of those conscientious objectors. Early in 1944, a call went out for volunteers for those of us who were working in various civilian public service projects. I had already spent a couple of years with the Forest Service, planting trees and fighting forest fires. This call for volunteers sounded like an opportunity to provide a worthwhile service, not just to our country, but to all humanity. I was one of more than 100 volunteers. Of those 100, 40 were selected to go to Minneapolis for clinical tests and interviews, and I was one of the final 36 chosen to take part in the experiment. The criteria for selection were: 1, we had to be in good health and free from chronic diseases or disabling defects. 2, we had to be in good mental health. 3, we had to be able to get along with others under periods of stress. And lastly, we had to have an interest in studying and preparing ourselves for relief and rehabilitation work after the war. In the middle of November 1944, we 36 reported to the University of Minnesota in Minneapolis. We were shown to our quarters where we were to live for the next year, located under one wing of the university stadium. Here on the upper floor, we had our dormitory-style sleeping quarters, a comfortable lounge, a library, and classrooms. On the ground floor, the Laboratory of Physiological Hygiene had all of its equipment, testing rooms, treadmills, chemical analysis labs, and so forth. Our meal at the university, as well as special classes that were given in the laboratory. And that included about 50 grams of protein and 30 grams of fat. The 1,570 calories was an average. Some of us had less, some had more. We were expected to lose about 1/4 of our body weight during the next 6 months. Each of us was assigned a weight loss goal and given a graph showing the rate at which we were expected to lose weight. We were expected to lose weight fairly rapidly at first, and then it would level off towards the ends of 6 months. Each morning we were weighed, and if we were losing weight too fast, we'd be assigned extra bread and potatoes. Or if we were not losing weight fast enough, our allotment of bread and potatoes was reduced. At the beginning, this was a rather interesting experience. We were losing weight, of course, but for the first few weeks, we still had quite a bit of energy. We were expected to continue all activities as before, to the extent that we could. We had to walk a minimum of 22 miles per week, plus a half hour on the treadmill each week. We had to spend 15 hours a week on our assigned jobs at the lab, and of course, keep up our classes. It wasn't long, however, before we began losing our will to do anything that required energy. The days began to drag out, each day getting longer and longer, and there seemed to be no end of starvation in sight. 6 months seemed like forever. Each morning we would get up, step on the scales, and check our weight against.
You see, they only went through this for 6 months, but he said that 6 months seemed like forever. So when famine hits here, even it might, it might even be the Lord might even delay his coming for 3 months or 6 months. Who knows? But just know, a couple weeks, a couple days without food, people are gonna lose morale. Like he said, listen, for the first couple days, or I think he said first couple weeks, everything will seem normal. But I'm pretty sure after that second week hit, you start to feel it. All right, when you're not able, when you realize that you're not able to go to the grocery store and stock up on food no more. All right, when Esau starts handing out just enough for you to just enough for your family to survive for the week, just enough for you to make it to the next day, when you don't have an abundancy no more. All right, that's when it's still gonna hit you. And like I said, famine doesn't mean that it's just gonna go away all together, but it also can go into what you just having little than what you're used to. I looked up the word famine. It says the word famine says a famine is a catastrophic mad that I can't. Catastrophic, something that involves causing a threat or sudden, the terrible disaster spread around. Okay. It says a famine is a catastrophic food crisis resulting into extreme hunger, spreading worldwide, acute malnutrition, and soaring mortality rates within a specific geographical area. This is a most severe level of food insecurity. You see, so what? Basically, the food isn't secure. You're not promised a meal, or what? It's. Let's look up the word insecurity right quick. Insecurity is insecurity and emotional characteristics of fundamental lack of self-confidence, Let's look up. That's talking about insecure as far as like the emotion. Insecure does not always look like shyness. It's frequently hidden in various other ways of more. Yeah, this is insecurity, like the emotion. But basically, if you look up the word insecurity, not the emotion, is basically something that's not secure. The word in meaning reverse, and secure, which means something that you protect. So what? Food isn't going to be always available, and often declared using strict measurable data rather than being a general term for hunger. All right. See, so basically what is gonna go down to a fact that it's not going to be accessible. It says extreme. Look at this. Extreme food shortages. At least 20% of households face a lack of food, and are experiencing outright starvation. Severe malnutrition. At least 30% of children under the age of 5 suffer for acute malnutrition, wasting, making them dangerously thin for their height. All right, the scripture just says what? Pined away, stricken. That's that wasting away, And like I said, in the book of 2nd Ezra, it talks about these things coming. All right. Here it is, 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 14. It says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. And the fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. Like an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer return not backwards, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon the earth shall not return again. You see, so what? And famine is part of these plagues. All right, famine is part of the plagues that the Lord is sending. You know, and we're seeing that, and we're seeing it now. How what the farmers are going on strike. What Esau is buying up the farmland, trying to control, trying to have control on the food, selling you food. You know, GMO chicken and what is it? 3D meat. All right, what the CEO of Campbell's chicken noodle soup talked about the stuff that they're the stuff in the Campbell's chicken noodle. That's not even real food. We're feeding them. You know, look it up. Look up what the CEO of Campbell's, the CEO of the company's Campbell's. You know, he talked about how the meat is basically just is grown in a lab or 3D. All right. It says the beginning of sorrow. It's like verse 17. It says, woe is me, who would deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mourning, the beginning of famine and great death. You see, the beginning of war, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, and what shall I do when those evils shall come? All right. And listen, a lot of people they can't handle going without food. They can't handle that they have to go. They can't go up and get a Big Mac or get a steak or get their seafood boils. So a lot of people, they gonna off themselves just because they can't have their Starbucks coffee in the morning no more, or they can't have that the Whopper or the Big Mac or you know, or any of those, or Taco Bell or Church's Chicken. They gonna off themselves because they can't go and get those things in the morning. Listen, people go crazy when it comes to food. We seen earlier this year how people was feeling when Snap had got cut off. People were losing their minds. People were crying. Just imagine when it gets cut off and it doesn't get cut back on, and now you can't eat things that you're used to. Now you're gonna have to eat certain things seasonless, saltless, or have at it. All right. It says, verse 19, behold, famine and plagues, tribulation and anguish are sent for scourges, for amendments. You see, and it talked about famine in there. So famine is going to be a big part of Jacob's trouble. The plagues that the Lord is sending upon this place, famine is going to be part of that. All right. It talks about, matter of fact, back in the Lamentations, it talks about the next verse. It says, the hand of the pitiful woman have sodden her children. The word sodden means what? Seasoned. Well, boiled, I believe. Hold on, let's look it up. When you sodden something, sodden is an adjective that means completely saturated with liquids and moisture. So yeah, basically, like I said, boiled. It says often in the point of being heavy, soggy, or mushy. It is an hold on. What is sodden food? Sodden food, reference, is a dish or ingredient that is heavily soaked, saturated, or moist, and properly cooking to the point of becoming impenetrable, heavy, doughy, or soggy. So basically, when you boil something, you know, like oatmeal or eggs or whatever. So when the scripture says, Lamentations 4:10, it says, the hand of the pitiful woman have sodden her own children. It says they were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. You see, so even back then, what cannibalism is going to return back to the earth. All right, just like how it was in King Solomon. Was it King Solomon? Yeah, King Solomon days. There was what he had seen a woman talking about. What? Yeah, we're going to eat my baby today, and we're going to eat your baby tomorrow. You know what? No, I'm thinking of something else. Slakia. I'm thinking of a different story. The story I was thinking of, is the woman who killed her baby, and she took the other woman's baby, and Solomon said, well, just divide the baby in half, and y'all get both half. That's the account that was happening. But it was another account where it was two women who who agreed to eat their children, and they ate the one woman's child that day, and they was gonna eat the other baby. They was gonna eat the other woman's child the next day, but the other woman didn't want it, so they went to the king and said, "Hey, listen, you know, she said we ate my baby already. Now it's time to eat her baby, and she don't want to agree with it, you know." So just to show you, hey, listen, that famine, what is it? Fuck, I just said it. Cannibalism is gonna come back. It's gonna come back. Which these people, let me let you in on a little secret. Your McDonald's, your McDoubles, whatever, it ain't all what it seemed to be. So when you taste little Ron, when you taste little Pookie or whatever, and he don't taste too different from a Big Mac, just know that you've been eating people already. All right, we're gonna finish. We're gonna watch a little bit more than this, and I'm gonna end it at that. I don't want to watch too much because I don't. If they take the video down, they take the video down. Oh well, but we're gonna watch a little bit more.
Against the chart of expected weight loss to see if maybe we might be entitled to some extra bread and potatoes. I'd look in the mirror and see that my eyes looked hollow, my cheeks were only a thin covering for the bones in my face, and my hair was getting thinner. If I tried to smile, it was just a grimace. I didn't feel like smiling in the first place, and I never laughed. My muscles were almost gone, my bones protruded, and sitting on a hard chair was uncomfortable.
Yeah, you think people is going to be so neighborly, or people going to look out for their well-being, look out for their neighbors' well-being in that day? When you read the scriptures, listen, even starvation is going to have people cruel and bitter. The scripture talks about what? The love of many shall wax cold, all right? Because of the iniquity. So just imagine when bread and goods become scarce, people are really gonna have a real cold and loner type spirit. But like he say, look, he took every muscle in his body to just grin, just to make a smile. So people ain't gonna be in the mood of top of the morning to you, good morning, neighbor. You know, it ain't gonna be like that. Like the Joker said in Dark Knight, he said, listen, when the chips are down, these people are gonna eat each other. Literally and figuratively. Figuratively basically means what? It's going to be a lot of betrayal. It's going to be a lot of getting over on one another. And actually physically, it's going to be, hey, listen, if I ain't got nothing to eat, shit, I'm bashing you over the head and I'm cutting your leg off. And I'm going to eat that.
Even for a few minutes. Most of us carried around pillows to sit on. I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without stopping to rest once or twice on the way up. I felt like an old man, and probably looked like one, since I made no effort to stand up straight. I thought about food all the time. I started collecting cookbooks, you know, the kind with beautiful color pictures of delicious-looking dishes. I felt cold all the time, even though it was the middle of summer. Nothing felt better than to find a nice warm spot in the sunshine and do nothing but lie there and soak up the heat of the sun. Luckily, we had been able to do our ice skating when we felt strong, and the worst of the starvation was in the middle of summer. Most of us suffered from edema, the collecting of liquid in the body, some more than others. I always woke up in the morning with my face puffy on the side I was lying on. Sometimes my ankles and knees were puffy, but my edema was not as bad as that of several others whose flesh bulged over their shoes by the end of the day. We became very irritable and intolerant. Little things seemed to annoy us. We were no longer polite with each other or with visitors. It seemed as if the veneer of civilization had been removed, leaving bare the animal underneath. We didn't enjoy having guests because it was an effort to entertain them. And we were not usually very diplomatic about showing our feelings about it. Food occupied our thoughts all the time. At mealtime, each one had his special way of dealing with the food.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to play on this. You can watch the whole video if you want to. It's the Minnesota semi-starvation experiment. You can just type it in and it'll go into it. But basically, that's all this these symptoms, all this is coming back to the world. All right. Famine is written in the scriptures. All right. But I'm gonna end it off at this one. What do we have to look forward to? Because listen, we don't have to worry about packing up our food, storing up water, and doing all those things. Even though if brothers do it, you know, that's cool if the Lord put that on your spirit to do it. But we don't put our trust in that. All right, we don't look for that to be our salvation. All right, we don't look we don't look for that to save us in these times that's coming. All right. This is Isaiah chapter 65 and verse 13. It says, therefore, thus said the Lord. I'm going to read up a little bit. So I'm going to go to 12. This is Isaiah chapter 65 and 12. It says, therefore, I will number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter, because I have called and ye did not answer. When I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that therein I delight not. You see, so what? The Lord is going to send starvation and famine upon these people. All right. Verse 13, therefore, thus said the Lord, thus said the Lord God, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, and ye shall be ashamed. You see? So what? 2/3 of our people are really gonna suffer and feel the squeeze when it comes down to this famine. But what? For the servants of the Lord, they're gonna eat. The Lord is gonna make sure that his men has fresh water and able to drink and eat in that day. Now we might not even get a surplus food. It might just be enough to keep us alive. But best believe the Lord is going to keep us where we're not going to be in the same predicament that you guys are in. You know, where you become irritable, you're on the brink of death, your skin and bones. You was looking like, oh, how old dude was looking in the video. You know, the Lord ain't gonna have his men out there looking like that. All right. So we trust in the Lord. We trust. That's where we get our protection from. That's what we trust in. That's where our glory lies in. So when you ask us, oh, what are you going to do? What about you? You still got to eat too. You still got to drink. Well, yeah. Well, guess what? Listen, hey, so be the Lord. The Lord's going to be our defense in that day. He's going to make sure my trust is in him. He's going to make sure he's going to protect me in that day where I don't have to sit here and worry about those type of things. All right. And we understand back at the top verse, what did it say? It says, but what? Did evil before my eyes, and did not choose and did choose that which I delighted not. You see? So you chose to rebel against the Lord. So when you need the Lord to come out looking for you, he ain't gonna do it. All right. So that's all I gotta say with this video. Lord willing, I hope this video was edifying for you brothers out there. Until next time, shalom.